Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Today's topic is a pretty interesting one. I am currently taking an editorial illustration class and the teacher presented us with a chapter from a book by Malcolm Gladwell which is titled The 10,000 Hour Rule. This whole chapter in this story talks about a couple people that you guys might actually be very familiar with. First of all, it's Bill Joy, and he is a person that ended up being really famous for being a really good programmer. He talks about Bill Gates. Obviously, everybody knows Bill Gates. And it talks also about a couple other people that, got really famous really early in life, like Steve Jobs. And, well, Steve Jobs got better a little bit later into his career, but other people like that. And it goes on to say that the common factor with some of these people was that they got a lot of hours into their craft by a very young age. So therefore, they were able to master that craft and be able to go on to have really successful careers. Later on in the story, it also talks about why being born in a certain time range actually matters a lot, which is not necessarily something that I agree with, but it's a big part of what their story is about. But let's focus a little bit more on the fact that it's 10,000 hour rule is very cool and very important, and I think that it's going to be something awesome to share with you guys so that you guys understand where they come from. So let me explain it a little bit better. So I always hear the story. I always hear people ask me, "How do I get better very quickly?" I get a message like this at least once a week, maybe once, twice, and up until this point, I didn't really know exactly how to respond. It was really awkward sometimes to tell people that there is no shortcuts. There absolutely is no shortcuts. You have to put a lot of time in, and it's going to take a lot of time to get to a good, comfortable level. But people don't like to hear that. Whenever people ask you how to get better quick, they don't expect you to just tell them that they're going to have to put years of time into their work in order to get better. They want to know the shortcuts to get famous. They want to know the shortcuts to be really good at drawing. Well, maybe having this under my belt to be able to explain it to people will be able to help them understand that getting good doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a month, and it doesn't happen in a year. So this 10,000 hour rule is essentially the big debate between being privileged and being talented. In a way, you have to be a little bit of both to be able to succeed, especially in this art field. It's a little bit like this. If you are privileged enough to have the ability to draw countless hours into the day and to be able to take countless classes, from institutions that cost considerable amount of money, because most art schools do cost a lot of money, then you're going to be legions ahead of somebody that hasn't done it. And that's if you put them both at the same, natural skill level. Now combine that with having a natural skill for art, and then allow this person to go crazy with any classes or anything like that. And then you are going to have a successful person, because there's nothing really that's going to stop you if you are inclined to the arts and you have access to every single piece of knowledge possible. So, it both comes into play. But On the other hand, it doesn't mean that if you're not a privileged person, you can't succeed. I just think that you have to work harder at being able to actually find those conditions under your own life conditions. So let's say if you work two jobs and have kids, obviously your time is going to be very limited. So you're going to have to find other ways to make things work for you. It might not be the same outlets, it might not be the same way to proceed than a person that's single, rich, and has access to the best teachers in the world, but that doesn't mean that you can't get to that same level. The 10,000 hour rule essentially states that anybody that wants to get good or be a master of their craft needs to at least put in 10,000 hours into their craft to be able to be great at it. They speak of Mozart and other musicians and how even though they were good at first and he wrote his first, symphony at 4, it was mostly a symphony that was composed of a lot of parts from other people. So he was good, but he wasn't considered a master until he was 21. So that was 20 years of actually doing his craft before he was considered a master. Same thing with his Bill Joy and programming. He collectively was, he was privileged enough to be able to program in the age that he was in, like 1965, 1966, I think. And he got a heads up above everybody else. So he is a story of privilege. And Bill Gates was also a story of privilege and being able to have access to all those technological advances. But they also put in a massive amount of time. The story talks about the Beatles. And, they had a cool part in the Beatles before they came to the United States, and the whole British invasion, thing going on in the United States back then, and that's how they got famous. It didn't happen overnight. They actually played in this town called Hamburg, and they played in strip joints. And these strip joints were non-stop traffic throughout the day, so they had to play countless hours. So it was 10, 12, 13-hour gigs where they had to play in front of audiences for that long. So that was for a long time, for years. So that means that they got a massive amount of skill just from playing in front of an audience for that long. So they got their hours in. It was not an overnight sensation, not at all. And I started actually taking this aside and trying to see how many hours I have actually done and how I compare towards everybody else people that are around me, people that draw with me and stuff like that. And oddly enough, I think I am roughly, from my calculations, I'm roughly at around like 8,000 hours. Calculating all the daily doodles and I guess if you calculate all the work that I've actually done, I probably go over it. But it's like getting to the point where I am right now, even though I don't consider myself amazing, I can say that I'm decent. I can say that I'm good because I've actually put 12 or plus years of effort into my skill. And that's the reason that I'm good. It took years. I am not a naturally talented person. I am one of those stories of those people that put a ton of hours in just to be competent. And yeah, also a little bit privileged because I haven't had a hard life. I don't have any other thing taking away my time other than maybe the occasional girlfriend or, family matters for that sake. But I can focus on drawing a lot more than a person that has to have jobs and kids. And I'm lucky for that. And I don't know how to explain it to somebody that does have those privileges, those, things in their life, because I can't. I can't be in that situation. I've never been in that situation. If I ever find myself in that situation, I'll be able to actually give advice and stuff. But I just suggest that you work your butt off, and any single time that you are able, try to take advantage of the stimulation that those situations bring to you. Having a child, from what I hear, brings an immense amount of ambition out of people, because you have this little ball of joy, this little tiny ball of like love, and then that can be translated into the creative process or a bit put into it as well. But I can't give a first-hand account. I just know that whenever I do go to conventions and I talk to artists that do have kids, every single time they come up. And they come up, like, well, my stories, are because of her. Or I take everything that they do and then I translate that into animations, or I translate that into books. And it's awesome. But I'm digressing. I'm ranting a little bit now. The 10,000 Hour Rule. I recommend that you guys go check it out. Once again, it's by Malcolm Gladwell. It's in another book. I just got one of the chapters for it, but I'm pretty sure you guys can find it online. There's also a bunch of things online that try to debunk it, but honestly, I think more people need to get more practice in. You can be supernaturally talented, you still need to get your practice in. Because then a person like me, a person that puts in countless hours, is going to surpass you, no matter how talented you are, if you don't put the same amount of hours as I do. And if you do put the same hours as I do, you'll only give me something to strive for, and then I'll have to just work twice as hard to be able to get to your level. And that is a mentality that I want all of you guys to have. That is a mentality that I want every single person out there that listens to me or is inspired by me, that I want you guys to fully understand and just take in and just do it every single day. If you love art, do art. Always be creating something. Be it a 15-minute drawing throughout the whole day where you just work a triple shift and you have no other motivation to do anything. Still try to make that one little drawing. That one little song if you're a singer or a writer. Just a little painting in a napkin. It doesn't matter. Just try to create something every day, and eventually it won't be hard for you anymore. You won't require inspiration, and you won't require anything else other than just wanting to create something. Alright guys, well, thank you for listening to my rant. I hope that you guys enjoyed the drawing by Bill Nye. I didn't know who to draw while I was talking about this. I probably should have just drawn like Bill Gates or something, but it's all good. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please check out all the other videos that I have if you guys are interested in learning about artwork and living as an artist and how to do things in digital programs. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.